Welcome to the 1-year anniversary show of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And to celebrate our 52nd episode, the first thing I did yesterday, before we started planning this, was return my NWO poster back to my parents' basement, back to the mildew from whence it came. So I guess we've completed a full circle there.
Your parents must have been very, very concerned if they were ever going to get that lovely dust collector back in their mildewed bowels of their home.
Well, it's funny because I have like two totes down there of actually what I consider signed figures that probably no one wants but me. But there are some gems down there. So I every time I go over there, I go down there just to sort of look at them and inventory them again and see what's what. And sometimes I take stuff back with me. What are you laughing at?
I mean, the whole thing is just absurd, honestly, if you think about it. But I mean, these are these treasured belongings that you have in off-site location in totes and around mildew. Like, it's not what you would typically think of, but in this hobby, it definitely makes sense.
It's funny. This is not even on my show sheet, but I was because it's funny to talk about this, but because we have a signing with the Great Muta coming up, and I have a bunch of very rare Muta figures that are in that tote. So what I did was the last time we had a Muta signing, when I got those done, what year was that? 2011, 2010?
Something like that. Yeah.
In that
it was
ballpark. I had hair, so it had to be, anyway. So I had gotten most of them done with these elements markers, which elements markers used to be kind of popular in the hobby. They've since been replaced by higher quality stuff. I use my elements markers. I use them to fill out gift tags on Christmas presents now. That's what I use my elements collection for. Anyway, if you know, you know. And so the elements on figures, if you think Posca is delicate, elements is even more delicate than Posca. If you look at it the wrong way, that it just rubs off. And so I was pulling them out to debate whether I should get them re-signed by Muta. And what I noticed was a lot of the bubbles have started to yellow in the way that is very, very common for older action figures. It's oxidation, I think. There's really no, unless you
and mildew.
It's not mildew on those, but I mean they're in a tote that's sealed off. But it's not airtight or anything. But there's really no way that I know that you can prevent those bubbles from yellowing. So I had some figures that when I put them down there, when I got them signed 10, 15 years ago, the bubbles were not yellow and the bubbles are now yellow. And it does break my heart a little bit knowing that this is, they're just decaying basically,
I mean, on the bright side, I guess so is Muta. So are we. I mean, we're all decaying in front of our eyes, but I think you got to wipe the signatures all the same. And, let them look nicer as they decay. I
probably will. It broke my heart because I have that one-of-one Kensuke Sasaki, Akira Hokuto 2-pack signed by both. And that was on a pristine card, with a pristine clear bubble. Now that bubble looks like I smoked 2 packs a day. That's how yellow it is. So it's a little upsetting, and this just nature, Oh, well. Yeah. So there weren't too many reports this week. I think, after a big show like Fanatics, especially this time of year, we're in the dog days of summer a little bit. There's just not a ton of things going on. So we did get a couple reports. One was from Zach, who followed in Vinny's footsteps and made the drive up to the Catskills to get Judd Hirsch.
Let me just say that I strongly dislike Zach and Vinny at this point because I really wanted Judd Hirsch. Once Vinny posted it, I did the map from home to there, and let me tell you, it's a trip. And I it's over this weekend. I didn't do it, so I'm not happy.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I'm going to be on now. Now I'm going to annoy you more. It's a relatively easy drive to the Catskills, and it looks like it was almost a guarantee to get him when you got there.
Yeah, as long as you which we'll cover a little, in a few seconds if you pick the right door.
Yeah, so I guess Zach showed up and he did that thing where you think sane people think this is it goes one way, but the hobby people understand. He asked the employees of the venue which door Judd Hirsch comes out, And it's one of those things that, employees of these venues will often lie or misdirect or not answer fully because they don't want to, they're trying to protect the talent a little bit. And so I guess they told him that the Judd Hirsch almost always comes out the front door. Meanwhile, I guess the graphers started piling up in the back door. Fortunately, Zach brought his wife and used his wife as recon. He didn't leave her in the car like an unwanted animal, like some of us do. Well, to be honest, let's be very clear. If you asked your wife to do recon at a spot, what would her reaction be?
I think she would. Well, first of all, I'm sure she would miss what she was reconning for. She'd be on her phone, shopping, studying, doing something, and she would have missed it. But I think she would have actually preferred to be left in the car with the AC cranking than recon. So kudos to Mrs. Linder for getting down in the trenches.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But it's so funny because any normies when you're at a spot to stalk more or less, doing recon at these things is not easy because often the window during which someone signs and takes photos could be under a minute. That's a lot of time pressure.
And let's also not forget the reality that, let's say he walked out Mrs. Linder's door and she would have told Zach he's here. That would have led to Zach running around this building, which I'm not sure how big this building was, but I'm sure it was, it was a building. It wasn't like a shed. So you'd have him running like a madman around this building to catch Judd Hirsch, which, I've been there before. And his poor wife would have to see her husband running like a madman.
Yeah.
To catch up with a 90-year-old actor. Like the whole thing is just, definitely a little out there.
And they did the running car gimmick with Hirsch as well. So they clearly were trying to rush it along. But apparently he was nice. He signed everything. He took photos with everything, with everyone. It looked very quick. The photos looked very quick, So the guy's in his 90s, so I understand.
And the other part of it that sort of amused me was privately I was talking to Zach about it. And Zach, he brought his wife up to see the show. They made a date night out of it. And I remarked to him, I'm like, oh, so you see shows like a normal person. I'm like, you don't just lurk outside the stage door like I do. And, he hit back quickly with, I wouldn't say normal. And then I made a joke that he had his photos that normal people don't really carry photos of the star of the show in a bag, which he had in a manila envelope, which is, much better. But, the whole thing is kind of crazy. And wouldn't you know it, Greg 2600 was one of the people lurking behind the stage door when Zach was back there. So the marked out community is a fierce and all covering, community. We are everywhere.
One of the funniest things that is just true is if you go to an event where you're where there's a possibility of getting an autograph from somebody, the odds that you'll run into someone from Marked Out is almost 100%, right? Yep. We've seen, I'm trying to think, there are these things that we thought were going to have no one there, and there's always someone there. And it's just fascinating. When we did the thing at the Patchogue Theater with William H. Macy, right? There are people lurking outside. There's always people at these things. It's fascinating. And there are always people who you run into, and that's honestly that's what makes it a community. It's not just a Facebook group, but it's a real community of people. And that was originally a message board, and that we recognize each other and we see each other around, so it's pretty funny. Yeah. The only other go ahead. Sorry.
We talk together, we stalk together, we do it all. That actually might be a T-shirt idea.
And the only other report we had was that Greg 2600 got his 11x14 Breaking Bad piece in the mail back from SWAU. Now, I did notice he reported no issues. His came out great. He's very happy. There were other people, however, who did report issues. So other people who got 11x17s done or 12x18s, SWAU was not returning them in their original packaging. So let's say you said a 12x18. SWAU wouldn't return it to you in your original top loader in a protective packaging. What they were doing was they were throwing everything that was above 11 by 14 into a 16 by 20 top loader, and then just throwing that in an envelope. So there are people with very expensive, like 12 by 18 cast pieces coming back that were bent and ruined due to the packing job. So once again, I know for some of these high dollar signings, SWAU is the only game in town, but they're tricky, and you have to be very, very, very careful.
I don't even understand the logic on that, because shipping a 16 by 20, at least on our level, without having some huge account with one of these shipping companies that like changes the math a little bit. 16 by 20s in a top loader, that's expensive. Like you could ship a 12 by 18 in a top loader, even packed
They charge for it. SWAU is extremely expensive.
I guess. I don't know, man.
That's it. No, it's very clear on their logistical back end. They have issues. I don't know who runs that logistical back end. It's very clear. There's just so many posts you see where people talk about their logistical issues. And that's not to say, look, I used SWAU once for Robert Downey Jr. and it was a fantastic. It was fine. There was no issue whatsoever. I didn't even do a mail-in though. I bought one of their items, But beyond that, I have no issues, and I imagine they're so big. Their signings do thousands of pieces.
I'm saying issues are completely inevitable when there's that kind of volume.
Exactly. I heard the Bryan Cranston signing did between 2,000 and 3,000 pieces. So like I get it. It's a numbers game, right? Statistically, there's always going to be something that happens. That said, there are certain things that as part of their logistical workflow, you shouldn't be sending 12 by 18s back in a 16 by 20 top loader. If you're selling 12, now they weren't selling 12 by 18s. They were a customer sent in their own, top loader. Keep it with the item. Fine, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And I know that's not easy, but they handle millions of dollars in revenue, literally millions. They're not in the same stratosphere as we are. So they have people who work for them. Figure it out.
I'm assuming what happened was they must have somehow they took all the prints out, put them in a stack for like the prep pile, and they must have somehow just misplaced the stack of top loaders. That's why I'm going. That'll be my guess. They were not trying to do it this way. They just lost them all, and they just went with whatever they had in inventory. Top loader was
correct. What I suspect was they didn't really care to keep track of them. Which I think for
them, a top loader is a top loader is a top loader, but I mean, clearly it's not, because you can't just throw something in an envelope with a top loader. You need to give it the additional support, and it's a whole. Honestly, we could do an entire episode on properly packing items,
especially at that size, right? So, because they're floppier, an 8x10 is less likely to be damaged in that scenario than a 16 or 11, 12 by 18 or 16 by 20, because there's more give in the bigger the item is, the more give there is when it's shipped flat. You gotta, it's a poor workflow. They need to fix it, and they probably won't, because it's been an issue now for years. And the funny thing is when people post, one of the issues I think I have with them is that when people post complaints about their service on their Facebook group, they just delete the complaints and ban the person. So, and I don't think there are sometimes unreasonable complaints from people, but these are not unreasonable complaints. They're just not, the guy's item was severely damaged and because of stupid mistakes. It wasn't, it wasn't like it was bad luck. Like there have been times when I've sent things where the post office, Lord knows what they did with that box, and it's no one's fault. You just kind of shrug your shoulders and fix it. But, we had that happen that time with the Lucha House Party stuff, right? It was the Matt Riddle stuff.
Yeah, the package for Jeff Seltzer from Matt Riddle was like run over by several mail trucks.
It happens. That's part of how it works. This is reality. But you need to mitigate, and you also need to do as much as you can to prevent them. People don't. So anyway, that's it for our reports. So it's a light week for reports. But the con news this week is completely insane. So many things happened. The kind of the biggest news is that New York Comic Con announced its initial lineup. Now, in the past, when they would announce their initial lineup, it was a pretty short list. They went a different route this year, and they dropped. It was over 50 names all at once. And this, I mean, before we get into the names, just looking at this overall list, what is your overall impression of this first round of names?
I think I might have to start that OnlyFans account for myself to make some money here, because this is a lot of money. This is an insane lineup. And the idea that it's initial, like, we know they're not going to add another 50, but I mean, they could definitely add a couple heavy hitters into this, and a handful of mid-tier people as well. It's insane.
It's crazy. So, like, just for example, the headliners so far, I mean, there's multiple headline level names here. You got James McAvoy, who's done a couple cons, but not many. But I mean, he in the newer X-Men movies, he's all of them. He's the Professor X, You got Nicholas Hoult, who's kind of reinvigorated by. Well, I mean, he's done a lot of. I really did. You ever see Warm Bodies?
I don't believe I have.
I really liked Warm Bodies. It was great. A great movie. Kind of broke him out. But then, I mean, now he did Mad Max Fury Road and Nosferatu. I mean, yeah, he's relevant from that. Elliot Page from Juno and Umbrella Academy. They finally booked Martin Sheen. So now you can finally get Martin Sheen.
Come on, Martin, bring the Sons.
And that would be cool if they brought the Sons. It really would be. Honestly, as selfish as this is, I would love for them to do a Grace and Frankie reunion and book Lily. What's her name?
Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, and Jack McCoy from Law and Order.
I mean, I wouldn't hold my breath for that. I mean, I don't think Grace and Frankie are really a hot NYCC commodity, but that would be cool.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Waterston should be doing cons, right? He's older now. He lives in New York. Doesn't Lily Tomlin also live in New York?
Not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And Jane Fonda's all over the place. But I mean, I don't know. I think it would be cool. They're kind of all royalty level names. But anyway, they got Shimu Liu from Marvel's Shang-Chi. I know he was. I mean, a little bit less relevant than if they had booked him when that a couple of years ago when that property was big, right? I mean, a couple of years ago he was very much in demand. What do you think of him?
I'll be completely honest. This is where the whole insanity of this thing comes into play. I have never seen Shang-Chi, but you can bet your ass I'm getting him because
you saw Barbie, right?
No. Oh, yes, I did.
So where I actually saw him originally, he kind of made his bones. Have you ever seen that show Kim's Convenience?
No.
It's a Canadian show about a Korean family who owns a convenience store. It's actually really, 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 really funny. And he's one of the main characters on it. And you could tell when you watched him in Kim's Convenience that he was going to, blow up and be something else because he has a ton of great comic timing. He has a great screen presence. He's really funny. So, he jumped from this kind of like CBC, sitcom jumping into the Marvel universe. So, I mean, and speaking of Marvel, they also have Charlie Cox, Tatiana Maslany, I mean, again, not the most relevant people, but certainly big names. Bryce Dallas Howard making the rounds again. She kind of did jump.
Her. Yeah,
you did. I never got her. What show was she? Was at Steel City that time we were there, right? Or was it Rhode Island?
She was at neither when we were in attendance, or maybe one of them on a different day. She may have been at Rhode Island that year, but a different day. That I'm not sure. But
I feel like I was at a show where she was there. But I could be wrong.
That's another family reunion I'm pulling for. She's got to get her dad out now.
Could you imagine? That would be insane. Simon Pegg is finally doing NYCC. I've been a huge fan of Simon Pegg forever. I loved Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, I mean, that was what made him. But kind of more importantly, they're doing the starts of a Ghostbusters reunion with Annie Potts and Ernie Hudson together, which is, I mean, bringing Annie Potts in is phenomenal. You don't have Annie Potts, right?
I do. Broadway, like 15 years ago.
Oh, because she did like one or two cons so far, but she's like, again, royalty at this point. And also someone who should have been doing cons already. Because I imagine Annie Potts' line is going to be to the moon for all of her incredible roles,
Yeah.
The Marvel Extended Universe, you got Mike Coulter, Ming-Na Wen, Clark Gregg, Chloe Bennett. They're those four, they're around the horn a lot. I mean, Ming-Na Wen cancels a lot too, but these guys are around. I don't really go for them, but whatever. And then there's Deborah Ann Wool doing NYC. So, are you going to like get her here, or are you going to wait for...
This comes before Rhode Island, so I guess probably just, you never know.
Yeah. We got Hamish Linklater. Then they're doing a Robot Chicken reunion. Breckin Meyer, Seth Green, Matthew Senrich. You never got Breckin Meyer, right?
I didn't.
But you did get Seth Green.
I got Seth, but I wouldn't mind some sort of an autograph. I gotta look at the Family Guy crap that exists.
Seth Green's prices have gone up a lot recently. He used to keep his prices low. They're not low anymore. So
yeah, I think I saw a little bit of that when I got the photo up. He's not cheap.
No. They're bringing in Steve Burns again from Blue's Clues. He's made the rounds a bunch of times. Wayne Brady. I don't think Wayne Brady's ever done a con before. Not that I can recall.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
They're doing. They're kind of whispering at an Alien reunion with Tom Skerritt and Veronica Cartwright. I actually heard whispers that Sigourney Weaver will be in town around this time. So it would not surprise me if she made her return to NYCC. She's not on any list, but that's me making a bold prediction. Did you see what I saw or no?
I don't believe I did, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me either.
I mean, she did it once, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's entirely possible. Like, you have these. It looks like they're going for little small reunions. I guess figuring that you could sell like dual ops to people that are fans of these properties, and it's better than nothing. But I mean, you just know, as stacked as this lineup is, the odds of like a Sigourney Weaver being added as like a Friday only or something like that, it's someone big like that's going to get added. I don't think they're done with their big artillery yet.
And then they have their standard RoboCop reunion, which has happened a million times, but Peter Weller and Nancy Allen. Did you ever get Peter Weller?
I did. Dr. Peter Weller.
Doctor, right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny because so many people have had very negative experiences with Peter Weller. He was actually really nice and funny with me. But I've read like these horror stories that people have about him. So, but you just got the op. Did you get any autographs?
I honestly, op only. I've still never seen RoboCop, so there's nothing I'd really want signed. I'm sure I'll see it when he's dead, and then I'll regret it. But
RoboCop is an unbelievable movie. I would say it's actually one of those like unsung works of genius that needs to be seen. It's actually become, it's one of those movies that has become more relevant over time. It was when it was originally made and released, it was kind of seen as absurd, and it is absurd. It's it's an absurd concept, but there's a lot of like political stuff that makes it more relevant now than ever before. I highly, highly recommend it. But really importantly, you have to watch the unrated or X-rated version, not the R-rated version. The X-rated version, there's no sex. It's a couple of extra gunshots, but the R-rated version actually ruins the scene with the gunshots. It makes it less funny. The X-rated version makes it the scene's intended to be funny, and the R-rated version cuts the number of gunshots to make it less funny, and it just shows you why people who engage in censorship really have no idea what art actually is. But I digress. Anyway, RoboCop's incredible, and it's cool. Now that's just the actors, right? So then we have the list of voice actors. Is very, very extensive. There are some huge names. Now, you're not a huge voice actor person, right? I mean, I'm not either, but there are some impressive names here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, honestly. For the stuff I grew up watching, like anything video game related, I don't play those video games. That does nothing for me. Like Critical Role, I'm assuming is a video game.
It's not. So Critical Role is a podcast of sorts. It's an internet show where all these voice actors play Dungeons and Dragons together.
That sounds interesting, I guess.
So I don't know how you missed this, because they did the reunion at NYCC last year.
I've seen these names before. I just avoid, I just don't pay attention, I guess.
So they did this reunion last year at NYCC, and the lines were extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it. They actually sold everything out in advance. You couldn't get near it. So they're obviously bringing everyone back because it was just a huge, huge success. And all of these people, Matthew Mercer, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, Ashley Johnson, Taliesin Jaffe, Marisha Ray, they all have tremendous voice acting credits on their own, all of them. And then you put them in this show that's like, there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes of it. It's this whole thing where they play Dungeons and Dragons together. It's definitely not something I would ever watch, but the kind of person who watches such a thing becomes like a rabid fan of it, if that makes sense.
I can understand that.
And so they also booked Troy Baker from The Last of Us. They booked Jennifer Hale from Mass Effect. These are all video games people. They booked David Hayter from Metal Gear Solid. So right away you have these three like video game royalty names, okay? But then they went and they booked basically the whole cast, or almost the whole cast of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So they got Dante Basco, who does a lot of cons, but then they got Zach Tyler Eisen, who doesn't, and he's the voice of Aang, and he's a big name here. And so they also booked Mae Whitman, Jack DeSena, and Michaela Murphy, all from Avatar. And there's a couple more I imagine will get added as well. But that's like a huge property where they land almost all of them, and that's like a hidden reunion here, basically.
I'm saying that's a property I'm actually aware of. I don't watch it, but I know what it is. That's pretty big.
Yeah, to get Zach Tyler Eisen in the building, and he's only done a handful of cons ever. So anyway, they've booked the Jodie Benson, Christopher Daniel Barnes, Little Mermaid reunion. They've booked this, not them, but I believe this was booked at Rhode Island once before. They might have been booked at NYCC once before, and Christopher Daniel Barnes cancels sometimes, so I'm hoping he doesn't. So we actually get this reunion. There are some anime names. I don't really know some of these people, like Abby Trott, Alex Lee, AJ Beckles. These are anime voice actors. I don't really know them.
Yeah, no idea.
Cam Clark from Ninja Turtles.
I got stuff.
Yeah. Robbie Damon from Sailor Moon, and also from video games, Final Fantasy 15. And Christopher Randolph, also from Metal Gear Solid, but he's also an actor in Law and Order and stuff like that. And they also announced, we're not going to do like the comic names, but they also announced George R.R. Martin. I believe R.L. Stein got announced also. I wonder if they're going to do the same shtick with R.L. Stein that they did at that private signing.
Well, listen, I certainly hope they do, because I would like to get R.L. Stein in a way that's time efficient. Like at NYCC, you got to get these tickets, and then it's the whole thing that I don't have time for. I got too many ops to get. But George R.R. Martin will not be doing an R.L. Stein deal, even if R.L. Stein does. So
So George R.R. Martin, his thing has historically been that he only signs for free. But it's always like a thing. You have to get a ticket. It's a process, you know.
Yeah, when you have 14 pro ops, I mean, you don't have the luxury of time to do that.
And therein lies the problem with our behavior at these things, you know.
Yep.
You can't go in for the really interesting secret signings and stuff. So that's the initial lineup for NYCC. So I mean, it took us 15 minutes just to read all the names off. I am beyond impressed with this list. I don't even want to. And the funny thing is, it's almost like stupid to talk about it now. It's only the end of June here. We have until the middle of October. You know, this list is going to triple in size.
Yeah, I mean, I will be spending thousands again. I will probably. I mean, I could see a crazy twisted scenario where I end up doing 3 days at this con. I think it's possible. What's
crazy about this stuff to me is every time in the past couple of years, I say, there's no way they're going to get people I need anymore. It's just not possible. And then they wind up getting people I need. And like, it's annoying almost how that happens.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, I mean, I never thought that like James McAvoy, Nicholas Hoult, Elliot Page, Martin Sheen, they were not on my radar. You know, Annie Potts and Simon Pegg were not on my radar. And now here they are. And it's like, damn, I need to get them.
Well, here's the reality. I mean, there's always new things coming out that make, existing actors wants or creates new people altogether. It's never going to come to a place unless you're someone that hasn't watched anything new since 1987. Like, there's always new stuff. So that right there is your first mistake, thinking that you've reached some sort of a ceiling when there is none.
Yeah, no, you're probably right, but I always go through that. Like last year, especially when they had those, when they had like the guys from Shameless and stuff like that. I was like, that was such a cool booking. There's no way they're gonna top that. And it's like, oh, okay. Annie Potts, Simon Pegg. To me, those are important names, not for recent stuff, but for stuff that I liked. So I don't know.
I wish Nick Frost would come out. What the hell's he doing?
I don't think he travels, but he's done cons. I know he has, but I don't think he travels as much. That's the thing. So I don't know, but maybe we'll see him get added. I mean, you would get that duel, I'm sure.
Yeah, listen, my favorite movie of theirs is Paul. Believe it or not, that was a really fun movie.
Paul? I don't know what it is. I've never heard of it before.
The Alien. I think if I remember correctly, Seth Rogen voices the alien.
I didn't see it.
Let me make sure I'm not mixing it up. It's not even them. I think it's them.
I liked Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, I'm right. It is them.
I thought Hot Fuzz was funny.
Paul is a lot of fun.
I didn't see Paul. Is it actually good, or is it one of those things where I like watch it and then immediately think you're an insane person?
Well, I mean, it's got basically 70% Rotten Tomatoes, 7 out of 10 IMDb. It's not like earth-shattering, but I mean, it's a sci-fi comedy that people don't hate.
No, I didn't know it existed. It escaped.
Jason Bateman's in it, Bill Hader, like Sigourney Weaver. It's got the cast is great, so I would recommend giving it a shot.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my piracy list. I mean, my buy list. Anyway, that's it for our initial look at New York Comic Con. Again, we're going to be talking about New York Comic Con in some form or another, probably every week. This is the season for it. It's the coolest show of the year, I think. Have you ever thought about going to San Diego Comic Con or no?
I've never looked super deep into it. My surface level perception of it is that it's more about fanfare, gawking, getting like tickets to these free signings. It's not really something that is very payable and guaranteed. That's always my view of it. So I've never really considered it.
Oh, I'm not sure. There's a lot of people.
They do pro ops there.
To be honest, I haven't looked into it in a long time. I don't know. I don't. But it runs at the end of July, and I feel like it's something you got to do once, right? I'll look into it more. If anyone has had any experiences in San Diego, if anyone gone to San Diego, is that something we would like? Because now that I'm at a stage of my life where I could feasibly run to San Diego for a couple days at the end of July, if that's something that if it was worth it for me. But I don't really know, so I'll look into it, and maybe if someone could offer, if they've been, some suggestions or advice, or whether maybe it's not even for us, maybe it's all comic book stuff. I don't really know. To be fair, I also thought that Dragon Con in Atlanta used to be a huge show. Has that ever been on you? I haven't. That's also Dragon Con's the very end of August, and unfortunately, I can't go to it because it's like they've made it now the days that school starts, so I really can't go.
I think Dragon Con, and again, this is surface level. I don't look. It's sort of like the sun. Like I don't look directly at these things, or at least not for long, because I don't need more things to do. But I think it was a bigger deal back when you had a lot of these properties that recorded in Atlanta. You'd see like the Vampire Diaries people, you'd see True Blood people, which I'm not sure if True Blood recorded in Atlanta. Walking Dead for sure. Now I think there's a little bit less, at least of things I follow that film in Atlanta. So I don't think it's really quite as strong of a show for me. So I haven't really seen it.
It used to be I used to look at it and think this is an insane show. But I mean, I don't even know anyone who goes.
No, I feel like it kind of fell off the last couple of years.
It also could just be that no one in our sphere goes, so we just don't see it. Yeah, I'm looking at the get. It has like Katie Sackhoff and Deborah Ann Woll, so they do have big, con names who are booked for it. But I don't know. I'll look into that as well. Even though I really can't go. If they keep it if they keep making it that last weekend of August, it's very hard to go. It's very hard to do it for me. But anyway, I don't know how those, because those are like the big cons around the country. It's always been NYCC, San Diego, Dragon Con. I guess WonderCon is now big. Like C2E2 is big. I mean, C2E2 you've never gone to either, nor have I. What time of year is that run? That's in March. Were you not tempted by C2E2 this year?
I think I'm tempted by it every year.
Yeah.
That's always pretty stacked. But
it's got to be something it's got to be on the radar. The issue is, again, that time of year is much more difficult to move around, but whatever. I guess that'll go to it really is it kind of contributes to the conversation of traveling for cons and how much do you want to do it, it's tough.
You can say that again.
Yeah. So we got there are other cons and other things that have been announced. There was the Reese Witherspoon event, which apparently is completely sold out. Did you see that?
On a VIP level, yes. There's always a chance they add more, but yes, it appears to be sold out. I honestly, when I told you about this, I didn't think you'd be interested.
Really? Why not?
I don't know, a couple $100, big name, having to schlep into the city. I figured you would be kind of, a little lukewarm on it. But you surprised me. Reese
Witherspoon she's one of those names that I want. So I consider her. I don't know about a top 10 name on my list overall, but probably a top 20 name on my list overall. So, if I can do that for $400 for the photo, I did it. Here we are. We did it. It's done. You booked it, right?
I booked it. I'm a little less gung ho on her than you are, but I mean, huge name. I've seen a bunch of her movies. I've liked a bunch of her movies. She's never going to be cheaper. This is a book tour. This is how she's doing it. She's not going to come around next book tour and do bookends.
Well, no, because she's one of the few Hollywood actors who's actually a billionaire.
Yeah. So
because of her production company. So
her meet and greet sold out. So this was on a meet and greet level successful, clearly. She's not going to all of a sudden decide next book I'm going to do it for $30. That's not happening. So you either pay $400 for her or wait for the next time to either hope she does another one or maybe she doesn't, and then you're out in the cold. So yeah, I locked in. We're doing it. It's on Columbus Day, which will be, I think it's going to be the day, right after NYCC. You're going to hate yourself when you got to go in again after that weekend.
I already do. So
But listen, man, You go fast or you go home. You got to do it.
But something like this is brainless. You go in. I can sleep on the train. If I have to sit and watch her stupid talk, I'll sleep during that. And I'll leave.
Yeah, I mean, you're not struggling for anything. You're not really stressing. I haven't decided yet if I'll bring anything on the chance she signs. I don't think there's much chance she will, so I probably won't. But we'll see. We got weeks to decide. Months,
yeah. What else we have on our news list? Oh, the same day, that Saturday of WrestleCon. I said that to you. I got really excited when I saw this was happening, and then I saw the date, and I was like, "Damn it!" Pandora's Box in Lafayette, New Jersey, has booked Jaleel White for a signing in store by him. I mean, that's an in store like that is fantastic, but unfortunately, it's right during our signing with Swipe Right, so we can't go.
We got to swipe left on this. I'm very sad about it.
Yeah, I would have definitely gone to this.
I'm starting to think Jaleel is becoming a little bit of a white whale here. I've had limited opportunities that they don't work out. And
you didn't go to 90s. We didn't go to that 90s con. My brother went to the 90s con.
Yeah, we didn't go to the 90s con. He did that RICC with Waldo, Geraldo, Faldo was up there as well. And he wouldn't do group ops with anyone. He was at his own booth, away from everyone. He wouldn't go near any of the cast. But I know Lanza, Greg 2600, they, I believe, got him at that Rhode Island. We didn't do that. Now we're not doing this, which this is one I don't feel any sort of guilt over. Because, what are we going to do? We're going to take Swipe Right on a road trip to meet Urkel? And it's
not even a 5-minute. It's 45 minutes from Newark. It's not even close.
No. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think Jaleel White's got some life left in him. So, I mean, we'll catch him one of these days.
Yeah, it's true. And so now that he's making the rounds. What else is happening? A little bit of kind of wild news. Tom Unger has announced a con to compete with Chiller Theater in Parsippany, New Jersey in October. What do you make of all that?
I have to speak carefully here because we've talked privately, Tom and I, about this. I'm not trying to put anything out there he hasn't put out there. But he posted, I'm going to go off his public comments and posts just to sort of, give a little narrative here. He had people that he was ready to bring into Chiller Theater. Chiller Theater informed him that he was essentially not welcome, which is absolutely mind-blowing when you're talking about the guy that has booked like every show he's been on basically since he started being at Chiller Theater. He's booked, if not the absolute headliners, he's booked part of the upper crust of that lineup. So to tell that guy that we don't want you at our show is just ridiculous. But, that's Chiller, and I guess in a nutshell. So he teased this once before, and then I think things sort of thawed and worked out. But it doesn't look like things are going to work out here. So he is going to do...
To be fair, the announcement is fresh. They can still make up.
Listen, I'm hoping they don't, because what he's been telling me privately, I want to see this happen. I don't even care about Chiller. This is the show I want to go to. But apparently what he posted yesterday on his group is location has been locked in. And I think this coming week, as in the episode drops and in a couple days from now, we should start seeing some guest announcements. And the guest announcements he's told me are good. These are good names. It's going to be directly opposite Chiller. It's going to be in the same basic, vicinity. So, I mean, if this is like, we've seen the Monday Night Wars. Well, this is like the Parsippany Wars right here. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, having two cons run at the same time. I remember the days of Blaustein running opposite Cinemania, and it was just a pain in the ass, to be honest. I mean, it was, at the end of the day, we got awesome stuff out of it, but it was a pain in the neck. So, do I think it'll be, if he runs it, will it be great? Of course it will, because Tom knows how to run a show. But I really hope I can do that and not Chiller. You know what I mean? I haven't.
Listen,
has Chiller announced anything that is good for this fall? We haven't even talked about it yet.
I don't think they've announced anything. And here's the deal. I'm going to say it right now.
There's no guests announced yet for Chiller.
Someone's going to probably see. They can't screenshot this because it's not going to make it to the show notes. But I'm going to say it right now. I think the territory is honestly ripe for the taking. I think Chiller is showing some cracks in the foundation. I think, I'm not going to get in anything more specific than that. But I mean, if I'm a showrunner like Tom Unger, I think if you were ever going to say, let me take over this territory, I think this is probably as good a time as any. Because I think what he's talking about, the names he told me, are going to beat anything Chiller's going to put out. Chiller's last couple shows, when you take away Tom's star power, are not that big. I thought last show was better than a lot of people did. But I mean, objectively speaking, Tom's not bringing in Buzz from Home Alone as much as I want Buzz. Actually, Tom, please bring in Buzz from Home Alone. But the names he's talking about are not Buzz from Home Alone. He's got big names. So, yeah, I think if there's ever a time that you could take Chiller out behind the barn and, do what you got to do with it, I mean, I think this would be the time. So, let's see what big events got planned.
You want to see Michael Biehn booked again?
At that same table in that same location. It's like the Bean spot at Chiller. It's hilarious.
So we'll see how that shakes out. I think we're going to learn more. I think bottom line is once Tom starts announcing names, it's going to be very hard to undo that and to unwind that. So I think in the coming days, we'll see whether this is a thing or whether this just quietly goes away. In other news, we had joked about when we did this is months ago now, when we did our Contropolis, New Jersey report, we had joked that we don't see a path for Contropolis to continue running in that spot. And we're sad to report that that's true. Contropolis will not run a show in New Jersey in 2025. They claim to be coming back in 2026, but we'll see,
I mean, yeah. I think it's better than nothing that they're even teasing a 2026 return, but I mean, we kind of know why there was no 2025, and I don't really know what another year is going to really do to change that. It was one of those shows where we selfishly enjoyed it because you walked in easily, you walked up to tables easily, got out of there quickly, but that's not sustainable. They're not making money, the talent's not making money. It's really only good for the fans, and only good for the fans selfishly and short-sightedly because it's not sustainable. So it kind of is what we expected, and I hope it comes back. It was a good, as far as cons go around here, that was barely into New Jersey. You could have stood on the New York coastline and pissed over to like this part of Jersey. It was close. It was really easy to get to. I hope it comes back, but I'm not holding my breath.
Listen, you know my feelings on that show. I loved that show. I loved the location, the layout, the fact that no one was there. Loved all of it, but you can't, it's not sustainable for the people trying to make money on it. What else do I have here? Steel. You noticed this, and you sent it along my way. That Steel City Con. So it's an update. I feel bad because like the dude who posted our thing to the Steel City fan forum, he kind of felt bad about doing it. Dude, don't feel bad. We don't care. It was funny. Right? You feel the same way, right?
Listen, controversy creates cash. If you wanna post something, I don't care where you post it. If it's gonna get us, talk.
I mean, we were obviously we recorded it, so we don't care that people know what we think.
No. I mean, after kind of fitting for the year 1 anniversary here, like first episode, kind of thought like, hey, we might be talking to ourselves here. So I mean, you really could have said anything, and that was not the case. We luckily got listeners instantly. Thank you again. But we record stuff to be heard and to be shared and to grow. So if there's anything that we say that we don't want heard, I mean, we wouldn't say it. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. But
the point, yeah. So you sent me that Steel City has changed and done graphics for its Facebook header, indicating that the current lineup is done.
Yeah, like I mean, listen, if they save the Photoshop file, you can change this. But I mean, I don't feel like these shows. I don't think they usually update like the 6-7 cover photos. Like they usually do one, and that's it. Could someone cancel and be replaced? Could they add someone else? I'm sure, but I mean, this kind of makes me think that we're largely done. And listen, if we're largely done, I'm saying it right now. This show sucks, and it's unfortunate that I'm going because I don't even care about Smart really. I'm going for FOMO, and I'm going to get the Jurassic Park kids, and I have to actually lock myself into getting the Jurassic Park kids because this is where it gets dangerous. If I go to a show like this and I feel like I'm not doing enough, I can start looking at the list and being like, oh well, I never got Bernthal on my Walking Dead poster. I never did this. I never got that. And all of a sudden, you're spending $900 on nothing. So I'm going to try to just lock myself in that I'm going to meet the Jurassic Park kids and perhaps to kill myself if I can find something high to jump off of afterwards.
Are you going to get Amy Smart? Or are you passing?
No, I got to get her because I don't know. I got to get her. I mean, I liked Interstate 60. That was one of the movies I heeded your recommendation. It was a lot of fun. It's just, I'm not, I would not be making a Pittsburgh trip for Amy Smart. She's one that if she was a chiller, she'd be on my list. And I'd say, ooh, there's 5 names I really should go. A Pittsburgh trip typically has been reserved for like the people that I really, really, really pop for. And there's like no one there that I really, really, really pop for. So I feel a little silly for going, but I'll go because what the hell? It'll be fun.
So, but the truth is, that we had faced our podcast on this had faced some criticism from the Steel City people. Like, well, they're not done yet. The lineup's not done yet. And now the lineup is done. Even I've been really trying hard to cheerlead this show because I already committed to going. So I obviously want it to be good. And it is like objectively just a bad lineup. It's a sucky lineup.
I will just preface by saying that perhaps they're not done and we're misreading this graphic. It's possible. We'll see.
We're a month and a half out. They shouldn't be done yet. This should be at least.
I don't want to look stupid. But if all of a sudden, like tomorrow, they drop Emilio Estevez and like here we are yelling that they're done and they're terrible. So I'm gonna say that I'm still holding out some hope, but my hope is waning for sure. And honestly, as sad as this sounds, I think like last Steel City, if you remember, we're driving through like that tornado warning with like the tornado, like they have like tornado signs out there, like on the highways. And like it was bad. We went into Taco Bell and like almost got like blown away. I hope for another tornado warning. That was actually fun. So if I'm going here just for the Jurassic Park kids, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing another tornado warning.
Anyway. So hopefully Steel City adds some more people. I think they really You look at that list. There's no headliner. There needs to be a headliner. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Dave Coulier and his cancer-free diagnosis. And I'm not making fun. I love Dave Coulier. Listen,
he's not a headliner. He's not.
Listen, thank God he's healthy and he's with us, and he's a treasure. He really is. I love Dave Coulier, but he's not a headliner.
He's not a headliner. Not a headliner.
Yeah. I just felt bad for that joke I made. I mean, I really do love Dave Coulier, but he's not a headliner. I'm sorry. Candace Cameron, I think she might surprise us. I think we're going to see headliner-type crowds from her. And I think we'd have to eat crow on her. So I'm not saying that. I think she is a headliner. She's just not I think she's a headliner one time in a fresh community, a fresh market. But I think she's not the headliner we want, unfortunately. That's what I think it's going to come down to with her.
What else we got? Oh, so we've been following the ongoing saga of Premier Collectibles and how they've been getting bands to sign records and sell them at premium prices, you know. And they've added another band to their stable, Third Eye Blind. So now we have Avril Lavigne, Simple Plan, Third Eye Blind. And I mean, literally every week it seems like they're adding someone new. And this is like every time I see one of these things get put up, it's like a knife in my chest. Because I know what's going to happen in a year. The music world is going to be fully part where they're going to have cons with musicians and stuff like that, and we're going to be left out in the cold on this, you know. And then it's upsetting to me. I see where the wind is blowing, and unfortunately, I have no way to stop it. You know what I'm talking about? Do you have that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be doing what Premiere is doing right now for like 80s and 90s hip hop. But if our unopened and unanswered messages and emails are any indication, I mean, I don't think KRS-One is going to get back to me surprisingly tomorrow. So,
and then when they do the first hip hop con next year, you like jump off a building. It's really upsetting, you know.
Listen, hip hop con would actually be such an awesome thing. You could do like all different little like all the stuff we wouldn't do, but you could have like beatboxing competitions, breakdancing. You could have like a freestyle battle. There's all sorts of little attractions you could do around the people signing and doing pro ops. Like you could make a Fanatics Fest out of that. And I think it could actually build up a following. It would really be a cool idea. But I mean, yeah, I'll be very upset when that happens and we have nothing to do with it.
Sad. It's sad. You see something happening. It's like you're watching the freight train come and you can't stop it. That's how it feels. Maybe I'm speaking to no one else on this, but I just see these are the kind of things I would like to do, and you can't get anyone to return your emails. Funny thing happened this week. I mean, I don't know if funny is the right word, but for those people who are, you know, vendors and selling things in the hobby, there was kind of a massive eBay bug that threw the hobby into chaos. Where when you printed labels through eBay, they would misreport the status of the shipment, leading people to believe that their items were lost, and then people were filing item not received complaints. And it's funny because I was reading these posts on various groups that this was happening, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting." And then you text me like, "Something's wrong with eBay."
Yeah, I didn't see this somehow. So when I got the complaint from the buyer, I thought I had like a stroke or something because I'm like, I just packed this like an hour ago, and I checked and it said delivered. I'm like, what the hell did I just do?
That was delivered to the wrong thing. Right?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and I checked last night. I think it was last night, and it still shows the same thing. So it hasn't been fixed yet. But
I don't think it's going to be fixed. I think it's going to be delivered, and that's going to be the end of it. He'll get it. Which, interestingly, because it's cursed, I believe, isn't it Maria's vagina?
Yes, Maria's vagina is absolutely cursed.
How's the item is Maria's vagina. Yeah. That's the item. So you can't win.
I wish I could put on our show graphic this week, like Danhausen, like just putting a curse on Maria's vagina, but I can't do that because I think we get flagged.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it's just a weird. It is weird that Maria's vagina has become like a running theme of the show, but I mean, it just is. It just is. It's a theme of the show. It's sort of omnipresent in our conversations. But yeah, it's a bummer. So hopefully eBay fixes that. I gotta just be if you're selling on eBay or you're buying on eBay, just be conscious that there's a bug in their parcel tracking system. You saw this, and I don't really understand the significance of it, but a lot of people have reposted on the hobby things, and that Logan Paul refused to sign a fake card. What was it at Fanatics or Fanatics adjacent?
It looked like Fanatics inside. I'm not up on these cards. For all I know, it was an authentic card that he just didn't want to sign. Because, like I said, he made that whole spiel to the guy that was near me about I can't sign a dollar bill because it's illegal. So, I mean, he's right, but I mean, most people don't really care. So that may just be his thing where he kind of like gaslights people into like not signing for them for like a reason that they're to blame for. I don't know. But it seemed like he was convinced it was a counterfeit card because it wasn't out yet. Was it? I don't know, but it was fascinating. It was just an interesting argument. I've never seen that before. So, I mean, be aware that there might be fake cards out there. I'm not really sure. And Logan Paul is either making stuff up to not sign, or he's like a real watchdog for hyper aware of his products and like when they're actually
for stuff like that. For some, it is a very good chance. There's a much greater chance of something being stolen than something being fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I don't even know how you would really fake, like a Topps card.
I don't know. And they do fake these things, but I mean that one in particular, I don't know. But it was interesting because it was a really long interaction. He was like, inspecting this card and questioning him about it and whatnot. So that was interesting. And then there was another piece of news where I guess John Cena was being interviewed, and he talked about this goes back to we were talking about celebrities being stalked by fans, where his car was being chased by fans. Now, because John Cena is John Cena, the way he responded to fans chasing his car like a bunch of maniacs was to have his driver pull out, and he got out and signed all their stuff in exchange for a promise they would just leave him alone and drive away, which is a classic like John Cena level kind of move. But it was kind of a pretty wild story, no?
Yeah. I mean, again, insane behavior. Is it abnormal or uncommon behavior? No. There's cars being chased literally on a daily basis in New York City. People chase cars on foot and they get roll downs at the different lights. People will chase a car 20 blocks. And every light they try to beg and get the window to come down for a couple signatures. This is a thing. I've watched it happen. I've never done it, but I've watched people do it. People chase cars from point A to point B. If they don't know where the hotel's at, they follow it. If you don't know where an after party is, you follow it. That's a thing that happens. So, I mean, John Cena, this is not... and if you want to watch this video, he was on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God. They posted that short. So if you go on their pages, you will find it. It's extremely common behavior in this hobby, which speaks volumes for the level of abnormality in this hobby, because that's not normal. You don't chase someone's car for autographs. But I don't really know if John Cena did much to sort of help. I mean, I think the next time he'd be in town, they'd probably try it again. I mean, they got all their stuff done, or at least they got some of the stuff done. Like, it's a pretty good deal. So I think he kind of handled it wrong, but it's honestly the way John is, and that's just who he is, and that's what he's going to do. And, I love him for it, but I don't know if he really did much to really change the behavior. I think he kind of just gave him a reward.
Yeah. So, so that's one of those things that that'll be kind of the main topic of the show, is related to fan behavior, which we'll get to in a minute. We do have to talk about Photo Op Friday, or Photo With. I say it wrong now every time. Photo With Friday. You know what it is? The word with. It does not roll off the tongue very nicely.
The reason I do it, though, Photo With is honestly, I think, the more common and transcendent phrase for it. You don't see people on the street saying Photo Op.
Totally.
So I agree. Photo Op sounds better. Yeah.
But anyway, Photo With Friday was another success. Lots and lots of people participated. My baldness was made fun of, which I don't like.
Not nice, Zach. Not nice at all.
No, and that's not like Zach has all his hair either, quite frankly. But that's fine. But there are a couple cool, interesting things. Two that stuck out to me. Bobby posted his in-gimmick shot with the Great Kabuki from Tokyo WrestleCon. Honest question: did you know that Tokyo WrestleCon even happened in 2020?
I did not. But of
course,
I
didn't either.
If anyone did know, of course it would have been Bobby, because I mean Bobby is like omnipresent. He goes everywhere. He is like the he's like Martine's like long lost cousin. He's everywhere.
And I'm not saying I would have gone to Tokyo WrestleCon because I would not have gone.
I'm not so sure you wouldn't have.
I mean, that's a lot. But I would not have gone. But I would like to have known that it existed. It's a little bit troubling that I didn't know that it existed, but I don't know. I didn't. And so I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of like looking up who the guests were, but I'm going to do that sometime today to see what I missed out on. But Bobby had that great in-gimmick shot holding the nunchucks with great kabuki. And then Nick, do you know Nick? Nick's like a younger guy. I don't know him, but
I've seen him around. He used to do Wrestling Universe. Then I bumped into him once at a Long Island Ducks game. I think he was on the concession that I was on, the line to get like pretzels and stuff. Now he's older and he's sort of he's like a Kian kind of. Like he's evolved through this hobby. But now he's doing the NYC street stuff.
Yeah, so I saw he got Clooney, a really great rail shot with Clooney. One of the better ones I've seen, honestly.
Listen, Clooney actually makes less sense than Judd Hirsch. Like, it was close. I really should have done it. I don't know why I didn't. I'm not happy with myself. And yeah, great job, Nick.
So that was that. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, hopefully good reasons, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook, and all links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and or review. You can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcast. You can leave a rating on Spotify, or you can leave a comment, thumbs up or thumbs down on YouTube. All engagement is welcome. So we started touching on last week. Was it last week or the week before? I don't know.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. On photo op consent and what photos with in public look like. You know, now we're in the era of smartphone ubiquity, and so people will behave like animals in public to get photos. We saw the infamous Cameron video with Jamie Lee Curtis where he sort of bum rushed her completely to get a photo op, and then there was that other picture of that guy with Jamie Lee Curtis looking like she was being murdered, which is really funny. But you know, the idea in our hobby that some people will take photos with people that are not consensual, and so we have some serious questions about what exactly is the meaning of all of this. So let's start from the beginning, I guess. And this is I never thought that we would be having an episode of Marked Out Radio about consent, but I do think that it's important to talk about because, if we want a circumstance in our hobby where we're not completely maligned and in public, it's kind of important to follow certain rules of behavior. So I guess you will start out because you have more experience with this than I do, and you have more kind of thoughts on this, I think, than I do. What does it mean to have consent, or what is consent in the context of photo ops?
All right, and listen, if you skip around in the episode, this is not our Diddy Party segment or our Harvey Weinstein segment. We are talking about photo op consent. And when you get into like what is consent, I mean, in a paid setting, I imagine consent is when you pony over the bucks and you either buy your photo op ticket or you get your table selfie. That is clear consent. On a street, I mean, in like an ideal setting, like Zach saw Judd Hirsch, and he's asked him for a photo. I imagine he said yes, or he nodded, or he gave some sort of an agreement to taking the photo. But in a lot of situations, I mean, the whole idea of what is consent, it becomes a little more of a gray area. I mean, if you're in a spot for, like, let's say a Will Smith, and you got 30, 40 fans like bum rushing him, and he's walking and he's signing and he's looking, like, you're not clearly saying, like, excuse me, Mr. Smith, may I take a photo? Like, you're basically shouting at him, like, selfie over here, please, selfie. Like, it's something like that. And like, he's looking. So like, the consent is sort of him looking in that moment in cases like that. And sometimes they'll actually verbally say yes, but like, it's not always like that. And then is there a difference in, let's say he's signing and you're recording a video so you don't miss it, and you get him accidentally looking in versus willingly and choosing to look in? Is that a difference? I guess on some level it is. For me, it wouldn't be. If I get him looking in under any circumstances, I'd be happy. But I mean, it's not always as cut and dry as Cameron, and it's also not on the flip side. It's not as cut and dry as paying $50 and getting your photo. What do you make of consent?
Well, why? I guess the question is, why does this matter? Is this a matter of being like a decent human being? Why did some people flip out? When you see Cameron do what he does, why do people care about it? Why does consent matter?
Well, here's why, and here's my opinion, and this is sort of playing off what you said last week. I think for a lot of the people that comment, they want to act and voice the opinion of it makes us look bad. And yeah, does Cameron make anyone in the human race look good? No, he's strange and weird, and he does weird things. But I mean, you're talking about people that were waiting outside of a private event to harass this person. And yeah, asking for a selfie anywhere like this is sort of harass. I mean, you think any of these people really want it? You think Judd Hirsch really wanted to have to stop for people, even though there was nothing wrong done? And I wish I could have been there. Do we think any of these people on a nightly basis, did George Clooney really want to find people out there? Probably not. It's a job. It's the same way when I go to school and kids come in, I'm disappointed. I wish all the kids would stay home at least once a week and just give me a day to sort of, be alone with my thoughts. But it doesn't happen. And that's the reality. So you have people that are harassing, some shade of stalking these people, but then they feel sort of like on this pedestal of morality because, well, I don't bum rush. Like, it's like someone that says, well, I just look through their windows. I don't break into their house. And yes, a peeping Tom is better than a home invader, but I mean, you're all sort of shades of gray here. It's not, that's my take of it. It's just people that, like you said, it sort of makes them face their own reality of what that they're closer to Cameron than they want to be.
So you think it more or less, so what I'm distilling your argument down into is that you're saying consent more or less doesn't matter.
For me, it absolutely does not matter. If I'm waiting, I'll be completely honest. If I was waiting on that street for Jamie Lee Curtis for 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, and I knew that was my shot, I do what Cameron did, or I go home empty-handed, you can bet your ass I'm doing what Cameron did. Because I spent 6 hours waiting outside for Laurie Strode, outside of a public space. That's not normal. So at that point, much like I said about going to Steel City, you go big or you go home. If I'm out there being psychotic, I'm gonna finish the job. And that sounds really creepy, actually, finish the job. But I mean, I'm going to succeed. But then I guess for some people, they would say, well, without the consent, what was your success? Anyone could just run up to someone and take a selfie. Like, that was an argument Zach made, which I mean, is from a normal point of view, makes sense. Like, if you're just running up to someone and taking a selfie,
I guess the question is, though,
meeting them?
What is the end game, right? So what is the purpose of it? So, like, it's, if you does it count? I hate using that expression, does it count? Because count for what, But does it count as meeting someone if they or if they don't consent to it?
For me, I'll be completely honest. I remember the discussions that we had a few weeks ago, and I think Marcus Brandon actually nailed it perfectly. He said it unquestionably counts, but it makes you a shitty human being. I may be mixing up the end part of what he said, but that was the point of that he made. And I agree. If you are rushing someone like that, that's not normal, that's not nice, that's not polite, that's not anything. That's just bad behavior. But I mean, it counts in the sense of, how does it count? Count for what? Mean, it's a, what the hell? Like, you could argue, did Cameron meet Jamie Lee Curtis? Probably not. But I mean, did I meet Tim Curry, who was sitting on his chair like an eggplant when I went in for the photo op, and I didn't even say a word to him? Did I meet him? I would say no. There was consent, but I mean, it's the same difference. There was no story I could remember or anything. It was just, I crouched next to him and I left. So what's the hell's the difference to me?
Well, I guess that's the point, right? It's like, again, I think this speaks to what the hell the point of this is. If the photo is to document an encounter, right? So like, you have a conversation with someone, and like I remember when I went to Scott Thompson from the Kids in the Hall. He was doing these shows in New York City, and there were like 50 people in the audience, maybe. That was the show. I talked to you about it, wwhere Claire Danes was there in the audience, and I didn't even get anything with her because I was too embarrassed. And that the audience was so small that I would have felt like a freak if I had asked her for a photo op. That's how bad it was. So I didn't. I just said, "Oh, Claire Danes, I'm a big fan," and she's like, "Oh, thanks." And that was literally
Here's the thing: you are a freak, and now you're just a freak without the photo op. So you messed up.
No, but the point was, I had a conversation with Scott Thompson for like 10 minutes after the show. I was like, I made a joke because Scott Thompson's an older guy. He's been around for a really long time, and I remember I was like, "Hey, Scott, you really made it to the big time. Claire Danes is here." And he's like, "I've arrived." Yeah, it was like a whole joke that we had going back and forth. He's a really nice guy. And then after this conversation, I told him, like, I'm going to be back again next weekend. I'm so excited. Scott was crying the whole time. I was laughing so hard. I loved it. And then so we took some pictures together. And I think that's a different thing. I was like documenting that moment, that experience, right? And then there are other photo ops, like at New York Comic Con, for example, where you pay $200 and you take a picture and you don't even speak to the person. And those are like different things psychologically from each other. One is documenting an experience. One of them is like almost artificially capturing a moment in time. You know what I'm saying? Like
you could argue that you're capturing a moment that honestly didn't even exist. I think
that's my point. That's why I use the word artificially, because it didn't exist. Yeah. It's artificially constructed. It makes it those photo ops you take at New York Comic Con or whatever con, it makes it seem like an interaction happened that didn't actually occur. You know?
Well, here's the deal.
Someone sees our photo op with like Orlando Bloom, right? Like we have a hilarious the interaction with him is hilarious for all the wrong reasons, and yet the photo op doesn't actually convey any of that. It's none of it. It's just it's a fake moment, basically.
Here's my reply to that. For me, and perhaps I'm just completely abnormal, which I'm pretty sure I am in many ways. I've never, ever, ever, ever gone into a situation looking for an actual moment that the photo would document. Like, for example, really, really quick little side story. We, Lanzer and I, went to a film set once for Jeff Bridges. This was actually during New York Comic Con. It was like during that, we like left Javits Center, went there, and I think went back to the Javits Center. Or maybe we were done for the day. I can't recall. But anyway, I went there expecting and being totally hopeful for a 3-second interaction, which was really no interaction at all. And I'd be on my way. Just as real of a moment as the pro ops I had just paid for at NYCC. And it just so happened I got a very Jeff Bridges experience where he walked up to me outside his trailer, very normal behavior, and with no segue whatsoever is like, "What's that thing you stand on?" And it moves. And somehow, I guess I was in line mentally with the dude. I hit back with segue. And he's like, "Yes, that's it." And I have no clue what the hell, why he was thinking of a segue, or why he looked to me to sort of shine light on this little thing that's probably been nagging at him. But that was a cool little moment. I got a selfie then, and I look at that picture and I think of the segue and all that. It's funny. But like, I didn't expect that. Like, when you met Scott Thompson, were you really expecting to be documenting this moment, or were you just looking to Pokemon and get the check mark on your list?
Well, for that, I went for the moment. I've met Scott Thompson a few times already, so it's different. That's probably not the best example of these things. But like, I'm trying to think of other. Remember when we met Matt Damon, right? How like there was some banter that he had with us. Like that documents a thing. I don't know. I guess those are. Don't you think those are better? Or so. Here's my example. Someone who bum rushes Jamie Lee Curtis versus someone who we got her in a legitimate setting. She was smiling. She was happy. Is our photo op worth more than Cameron's?
It is. It unquestionably is. But let's go back to the Matt Damon day. Matt Damon, we bantered. It was nice. It was laid back it was the most rushed, laid back experience ever. It was cool. But a few minutes later, the fact that this was all the same day is mind blowing. But a few minutes later, I got Daniel Craig. That was the opposite. Did I have clear consent from Daniel Craig? I don't
No,
think
you
so.
didn't.
I was
No.
just shouting at him, pleading with him, and he looked and smiled and took the photo. When I look at those two photos, do I feel any different? No. If anything, I feel better about the Daniel Craig one because, and here's the reality. I think we've verbalized this, but I'll verbalize it again to be completely clear. I view this stuff as if like I'm just collecting like sports cards or Pokemon cards. Like whether it's a great experience, whether it's a terrible experience, I want the foil Charizard. I want the 1 of 5 Shohei Ohtani. I don't care. Like if I have to, if I open a pack and you hit it naturally and organically, that's the best feeling. Or I go to a card show and pay $1,000 for it. Not as great of a feeling, but I still got it. Or let's just say I'm walking outside and I see some kid drop it on the floor and I let him keep on walking and I grab it. That makes me a lousy person. But guess what? I got the $1,000 card. I picked it off the ground. That to me is the equivalent of a bum rush. I'll take it. I will take it anyway. But if I open the pack organically and just hit it, that is by far the greater feeling, the greater memory. It means more. But I mean, I'll take it over nothing.
So this is where the concept of something counting spirals a little bit because things count differently, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you got a bum rush shot. So let's say you have a couple of infamous bum rush. Am I gonna blow up your like spot if I tell people what your bum rush shots are, or do you care?
I mean, well, actually, no, I don't care. Go ahead and name it, and I'll defend myself if I can. Because I mean, there's some that weren't exactly bum rush in the same way of.
No, that's not the point of doing this. It's okay. So like you have bum rush shots with Jerry Seinfeld. You have bum rush shot, right?
Well, he was signing. I didn't bum rush him. I stood next to him with my camera rolling. He saw it and didn't cover, look away, anything. He just wasn't going to actually pose.
Right, but he doesn't pose. He doesn't pose the photos.
I don't count that the way Cameron's was. I have some that were like Cameron's, exactly. Nathan Lane, I like jumped out of the shadows and Cameron. I think honestly, if you saw a video of me with Nathan Lane, it's worse than Cameron. Nathan Lane juked, I juked back. It was a whole thing. Nathan Lane is worse than Cameron for sure.
Let's just do the Jerry. All right, so Nathan Lane, fine. So Nathan Lane, you find out that there is an opportunity to get a posed photo with Nathan Lane. Do you go and do that so that you have a legitimate photo as opposed to one that is illegitimate?
My Nathan Lane photo is honestly jewel encrusted dog shit. Like it's terrible. It really is. It's not good. So yes, I think actually he did something in like at the NJ pack or something that I didn't do. I don't know why I didn't do it, but if I have another chance, I would unquestionably. Same with Jerry Seinfeld. Let's go to Jerry because like Jerry was one of my top ones. I feel pretty good about what I have because, like I said, I didn't jump out of the shadows at him. He was standing there signing. I had my camera outstretched in front of me recording. He could have been like, stop, don't, turned away, covered his face. He didn't. He looked right at it as he was doing what he was doing, talking to people. He didn't care. He just wasn't going to pose. To some people, maybe that doesn't count. To me, it most certainly counts. If I had a chance to get another one, a better one, of course, I would. Not because of a lack of consent, just because it's my top want of before I got it. And if I had a chance to get a perfect shot, I would always take an upgrade over something that big.
So this is where it's funny because even though you say these things count, in your heart, you don't really believe it because you would upgrade them.
I've upgraded shots that unquestionably count. I upgraded Rhea Ripley the other day. My first shot counts. It's just I wanted a better one. I think Nathan Lane, you could probably make an argument that in my heart, maybe I'm a little iffy on if it counts. Jerry, I count. Because, I mean, I was standing with him for 30 seconds. I have like 14 different screenshots that are valid from that experience. Like, it was whatever. Would I have preferred a better experience? I'm sure. But, I mean, I will take it. If I never get another chance, I would absolutely, unquestionably take it. If I was someone standing there saying, oh, well, he's not consenting, so why would I want it? Like, I was waiting outside at Madison Square Garden for him. I mean, I was already being creepy. So, I mean, screw it. I'll go the extra yard and get the first down.
in your Nathan Lane shot, can you tell that he wasn't consenting to it?
Probably. I mean, I'd have to look at it, but yeah, it's not good. I had a bit of an argument once with Ed Harris.
I think Ed Harris gets into it with people.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy with me, but I got it done. He looks like he wants to kill me. It's basically on par with Cameron's Jamie Lee Curtis.
But
gun to my head.
Didn't Ed Harris actually consent verbally?
I don't even remember. I don't think he really did. Maybe he finally did, in the sense of like basically like you effing a-hole, just take it and get away from me type of thing. It may have been something like that, but I mean, it wasn't good. Greg 2600 was like in the building, and he tells a funny version of it where he honestly thought Ed Harris was going to kick the crap out of me. Like, he was not happy with me. That was definitely one of my lower points in my life. But listen, I got Ed Harris. I'll take it.
Yes, you got whatever getting means. You got, right, and that's sort of where this all goes. That it's such a weird idea. So it is a really interesting question. Like, a paid photo op really brings no joy. It has there's no interaction. There's no moment. There's no memory. In fact, I'm making this argument here now, and I will continue making this argument. I believe that the paid photo op actually constructs an artificial reality. It's not the photo that is being presented to the world. The moment that you're trying to communicate to the world isn't real. Like, for example, I post pro photo ops on my Facebook all the time, and like elderly relatives, like people who have no idea about the hobby, they're like, "How do you meet all these people?" I hate that question because I usually just like deflect and don't want to answer it. But they really think like these are meet and greets, for lack of a better term. And we do nothing to like disabuse them of that belief.
Well, here's where I will disagree with you. I agree completely. It's artificial. It's creating this false sense of closeness that doesn't exist. But I would not say it's joyless, because I'm not like, for me, the experiences, the meets that are more interactive, like the Jerry Seinfeld meet. The fact that I got it, I have a valid shot, that is just as joyful for me as anything else. For me, and I've made this comparison before, I'm going to make it again, as insane as it sounds, I feel like if one listener out there can sort of conceptualize what I see and how it makes sense for me, they could understand maybe what I'm feeling when this happens. The Kevin Costner experience was quick. It was not any sort of a meet. It's probably not with my elderly relatives. Like, my aunt commented that it's her all-time favorite actor. I'm sure in her head, me meeting Kevin Costner was completely different from what it actually was. If Kevin Costner would have hugged me, talked to me, spent 20 minutes with me, it wouldn't have been any more joyful than it was in 2 seconds. It's the same thing. For me, and I've made this comparison before, when I meet someone, like, think of like a Christmas tree, like all bulbs on a Christmas tree. When I meet someone, to me, like the movies, the shows, the properties that they are a key part in, that light goes on from like a dead Christmas tree to a bright light. And then like all these things, you have a piece of all of these different things. When I watch them, it kind of feels different. It's just, it's mentally, it's insane. Like, honestly, I could be checked into a psych ward right now just hearing myself say this. Like, it makes zero sense in realistic terms. That's how I see it. That's the joy for me. That's the joy of fighting with Ed Harris on the street and getting a photo where he wanted to murder me. That's the joy of catching Seinfeld while signing autographs and just forcing him to do it, basically. That's the joy of Kevin Costner for 3 seconds. It lights up that bulb on the strand of Christmas lights, and it gives me sort of ownership in some weird way of that property that means something to me.
But then I part of this I don't understand is, then why do you do upgrades? If the bulb is on, to continue this metaphor, then why upgrade? Like the Rhea Ripley bulb is on.
It's already lit. Yes.
So then why do the upgrades?
I guess if the bulb is cloudy or whatever you want to bet, I don't know. Because I'm psychotic. Because I'm completely psychotic. That's why. There's no... I'm not going to be like Jerry in class where I try to sort of rationalize it. I can't rationalize it. That is a very, very good and very real flaw in this whole thing. And it's because I'm nuts. And I feel like I can get a brighter bulb, a nicer bulb, whatever. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. But I love it. And I would trade it for nothing.
So the second part of this conversation about photo ops and consent in photo ops has to do with touching. So I know that there were posts made to the Marked Out group about touching, and I know that people have strong feelings about touching. And we've made jokes in the past about like the hover hand or the claw that people do because they're afraid of touching. And Joe Jonas with his no touching policy for when he was doing his photo ops. And who else was not touching? Livy Dunn, you couldn't touch her. And then there was someone at Fanatics else was not touching. Who was it? Was it A-Rod? A-Rod was no touching. And so the question is, I guess, and there was that whole thought. We also talked about Mel Gibson, right? Where like Mel Gibson was no touching until like a couple of women just grabbed him, and after that, then everyone was grabbing him, and he didn't say anything. And so the question is, what's the deal? Now to Jerry Seinfeld, I tell him, what's the deal with touching in photo ops? Do you need consent to touch someone in a photo op, and how do you navigate that moment where you're about to take a photo op and someone, you're not sure whether to touch them or not?
Well, here's the deal. If I'm splitting a photo op, I'm actually hoping that they don't want anyone to touch because that makes it so easy. I'm not adding any sort of limbs or hands or anything like that. It just you just crop it right. You just chop each other out. How I typically navigate, if they don't say anything, I will sort of judge by the people in front of me. I read the room. I see what people are doing. Like, for example, Rhea Ripley, as I discussed last week, she was picking people up, men. She was holding men like babies. She's hugging. She's kissing women. There was one guy that was like he was doing something. He was like holding her, maybe, that his hand was like smack dab on her boob. Like, Rhea Ripley was like a grab fest for like and that's the problem. You get these pervs that, for the average fan, they'll take a nice photo with her, and that's going to be it. But there's someone out there that grabbed her ass or did something that's going to, if not ruin it for the upcoming fans, at the very least probably made her feel kind of skeevy. But I usually just read the room, and my brand of touching is just, putting my arm on the shoulders. And honestly, even for people that they say don't touch, I'll typically like put my hand behind them and just have it like a foot away. That if you were looking from behind, you'd see the biggest hover hand in the world. But it's just about having the, perception of contact, which, goes into the whole, that's a question in and of itself. Why do we want this perception of contact? Why does that make it better?
So then I mean, you had made it seem like the person. I don't think that people who were like Rhea Ripley was holding that was done out of perversion. I thought they thought it was funny. No. I said that there was a guy that I'm sure he wasn't doing it to be perverted, but there was a guy that was holding her, and if you were going to hold this person, your hand would naturally kind of go there. She's a big woman, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying any of those poses were necessarily perverted, but I'm sure there was a guy. It would have to be one. Or a girl, probably a girl, that saw all these poses and thought to themselves, ooh, I'm going to do a prom pose. And then they went and, did what they did. I'm sure there's someone that made it creepy. Out of 1,000 photos, there had to have been.
Why is touching for some people so important in photo ops? Like when Gina Davis has her no touching and you have to be 3 inches away or whatever. Why do people wig out about that? Like why is touching an important component of this?
To me, and I don't mean this personally, but this is how I see it, people are creating that artificial moment. You would not take a picture with your grandmother and not touch her. You wouldn't take a picture with your girlfriend and not touch her. So if you're taking a picture with these people, you want to sort of create the illusion of closeness, of familiarity. Not touching kind of does the opposite, and it gives off the idea that the person's sort of repulsed by you. Doesn't want to be near you. That's what upset people so much with the glass barricades for COVID, because it literally is treating you as if you are like some second-class citizen. But here's the deal. Guess what? In this world, you're waiting online to pay money to take pictures with this person. They are not doing that for you. So you are feeding and building up that whole inequality of just, human specimens here, by saying this person's better than me because I'm paying to meet them, not vice versa. So it's all about just creating an artificial moment to me that doesn't actually exist.
So have you ever done any kind of so it's funny because I noticed that like when you did the Vanity Project photos in Deer Park a few weeks ago, you threw up the V when they were doing the pose. Do you do things like physically often in these photos to try and increase like the theatricality of it or the moment of it?
That would definitely be, I guess, one of them. Because, I mean, we were going for a vanity project group ups. Like, we needed the V's, for sure. Not to create some sort of, it wasn't like we were all sitting at Chili's throwing up the V. So it wasn't creating, like, false closeness. It just was for, like, the group up. Like, honestly, if they didn't throw up the V's, I would have asked for a reshoot. Like, you need the V. In general, though, I don't think I do. I'm not a prop guy. I'm not the guy bringing, like, different shirts, changing shirts, bringing props. I really don't do that. Like, I probably should. Like the John Cena, when I got Cena at Philly Fan Expo, I regretted after seeing it. I should have done some pose that tied into that whole, like, dead stare, hug, heel turn. Like, that was a regret. That was I guess splitting it with Ira, it wouldn't really have worked. But yeah, that was a regret. That was some theatrics I probably should have done. But on average, I don't really think I'm a big person doing that. How about you?
I sometimes do stuff. I mean, I know that I do wear shirts that are themed. I'm not like, I don't usually change clothes in the middle of the show. I've done it once or twice, but it's often more trouble than it's worth. And you have to carry the extra clothes.
I'll wear a shirt if I can pick one shirt that kind of will capture like what I'm doing or what I care most about doing. I will do that, but I don't typically change. I think I may have changed once in my life. I can't recall. But that's not something I typically do. No shade for anyone that does. But that's a lot of trouble for me. I got to, worry about losing shirts, then I don't do it.
So do you think this touching is an actual problem, or do you think it's a contrivance?
I think like most things in society, I think there's been enough documented cases that were problems where, I can't discount it. Like, if every 5,000 photo ops a celebrity takes, one gets like their boob like fondled. I mean, that's not okay. I don't have boobs that are going to be fondled. I'm not taking photos with people. So like for me, it's easy for me to say, oh, who cares? I don't know. I would love to actually ask one of these women, like, how often does this happen? What's the way? I would like to actually know how big of a problem it is. But I think there's probably enough creepy prom poses with smelly guys that haven't showered since their actual prom date that they didn't have a date for, that I see why they wouldn't really want touching, but I don't think it's probably as common as some people think.
I think these poses in a lot of ways can help, alleviate some of the just natural awkwardness of what these photo ops are. You paying money to stand next to someone for 1.5 seconds, and like by doing something funny or by doing something performative in a way that at least makes it a little bit different from that.
Okay, I hear you, but I mean, would we call performative? Let's imagine you or Liv Morgan, and you get a man pushing his genitals into your butt and wrapping his arms around your waist for a classic prom pose. Is that performative? Is that is that doing anything for Liv Morgan to make anything less awkward?
No, you're right. And that's where like when you're dealing with the gendered stuff and the sexual implications and some of that, it does get very dicey. And I know it's typically women, but not always. But it's typically women.
Yeah, the women are even worse. Policies. No, forget that. The female fans, like, you want to talk about a commodity of talent that are probably even more objectified than the women we think of with wrestling. Think about Ian, Paul Wesley, Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, the quote-unquote hunks of the creation sphere. How many women are saying, kiss me on the cheek, look longingly into my eyes, prom pose me, dip me, twirl me?
So what's funny is, I can't remember if I told you my photo op story with Jared. Did I?
I think you did, but I don't recall if it was on air, so go for it.
So I get in there, and the woman before me, I witnessed it. She was like multiple hugs and all these. She wanted him to basically, perform a sex act on her for a 1.5 seconds for the photo op. It was like very aggressive. And so I get up there with him, and I make a joke, and I say, "Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to hug me." And he goes, "Well, now I have to." And so we have this very elaborate like hug thing that we did, but because he played it off, it was very funny because the woman before me was just, but he was a good sport. He knows he's there as a slab of meat, for these women to act out their fantasies. It is very disturbing for some of these men. You're right. I mean, even when I was in line for Damian Priest, the way that some of the women were hanging on Damian Priest was uncomfortable, to be honest. But and I think actually the funny thing is, I think this is I don't know if this will get me canceled or whatever, but I think for the most part, and obviously there are exceptions to this, the kind of men who go to these shows to be near the pretty women are often too awkward and embarrassed and shy to really do any serious groping. You will have with some exceptions for sure, but a lot of these men are like extra cognizant of not being gross and touchy, whereas a lot of the women are extremely touchy with some of the men. And that's not as publicly discussed because the guy is just kind of let it roll off their back. When a woman is touched inappropriately or groped and in one of these shots, it kind of blows up into a bigger story.
And listen, I'll see your potentially canceled comment and I will raise you. I think with the men, it's often swept under the rug because, I mean, just think of headline. Man is paid to take photos with excited women who can't stop groping him. Like the average man would say, oh, poor him. Like, that's, what a terrible, what a problem that must be. But here's the reality. I'm going to say it. The women that are doing this are hideous. Like no one wants to be groped by these women. Like if these guys were going to be groped by these women, they would be being paid as like gigolos or escorts. They would be making money. Well, I guess they kind of are. I guess, the photo op, I guess that's kind of part of their job. And I guess they've sort of come to grips with it. But, the whole thing is gross and nasty. And the women doing it just get kind of ignored because it just seems desirable. Oh, you have 100 women groping you. But, it looks more like 100 water buffaloes groping you. But
so it's a tricky one. And obviously no one wants to see young women, some of these women are teenagers, girls, getting manhandled by these sweaty dudes. It's gross, obviously. But it's complicated. And there's certainly when you're accepting money, look, there is something very inherently strange in accepting money to allow someone to stand next to you and take a photo. That's a strange transaction. That's a transaction that is not, that's fraught with complexity, I think. And so you can't just say, oh, well, I don't want to be touched in that interaction, because when people take photos, I mean, you can say it, but you can't say that and not and be shocked when people are kind of blow back against it, because, it comes with the territory of a photo that you're gonna. I mean, I'm trying to think of the really fun photo ops that I've had where okay, I'll tell you this. So if you go back and you look at, and maybe I'll post it on next week's Photo With Friday. When I went to them, did you do the Macy's photo op with Fergie back in the day?
I did not.
So I did. And let me tell you something. Fergie was extremely touchy, extremely, to the point where I was taken aback by how touchy she was. Especially with these women who are like very famous. You have to be, unless you're a complete idiot, you got to be really self-conscious about where your hands are, because you don't want to make someone accidentally, touch someone accidentally, make them feel bad. You got to be really careful with that. And so, and Fergie at the time was a megastar. I mean, she's, since pretty much retired or semi-retired, but she was a megastar at the time. And I'm going to post that picture. She was, maybe you find it and you post it in the show graphic, how Fergie is like groping me in this picture, but her hands are all over me in this picture. And I imagine it was because it was weird, Look at, you did the Rihanna one, right?
Yes. So
Rihanna grabbed people and was hugging them. Did you get kissed by Rihanna or no?
No.
I got kissed by Rihanna. Rihanna was kissing people. Not everyone, but people get kissed by Rihanna. So like there are scenarios where, and I imagine they were doing it, both Fergie and Rihanna, because they were trying to make an awkward situation less awkward. With their, trying to interact with like a human being. But, the problem is that the act of taking a photo op in this context is a dehumanizing act. It just is. And so when people act in a way to humanize it, it becomes complicated. And yes, there are people who take advantage of that and grope.
And let's also, let's also acknowledge that if you are a celebrity and you are being paid to take photo ops, taking photo ops at creation cons, for example, you're sort of expected to do poses like that. That everyone wants one, basically. And if you would go and say no poses, I'm just going to stand there like Gina Davis, it would not work in a creation show. So if you are taking a booking at creation and doing these photos, that's what you're doing. That is what you are expected to do. Some do it. Some have lines in the sand. Others will do whatever the hell you want them to do. Versus, Gina Davis. Gina Davis can go to a 90s con or a Rhode Island and not have to touch anyone. If she was doing that at creation, I think like the entire building would burn down around her. Like it just would not go over at all. So not every pro op is the same.
Yeah, I think we've said all that needs to be said about photo op etiquette. Is there anything else you have to add on that?
If you're going to bum rush someone on the street, don't grope them at the same time. That's just rude.
I can say honestly, I've never bum rushed someone on the street. I don't think I have it in me. I really don't.
Have you groped someone on the street?
I can't talk about that publicly. No, I'm very hyper conscious of my physicality. I've stepped on people's feet during photo ops. That I've done by accident. I feel bad about it.
I will say one little story quickly. I was graphing Alyssa Milano years ago, probably 16 years ago at this point. We were outside of a morning show. It was me and this guy that I knew in the city. And he I don't even know how, he acted like he dropped something, but grabbed her breast, and it was very bizarre. I don't still to this day, I don't know how that could have been an accident. It was really weird. I really never looked at the guy the same after that. It was just bizarre. I don't know how does that happen, but it did. So I've never groped anyone on the street, but I have witnessed it.
Terrible. That's terrible.
It is.
So what's coming up for us? So you at the last minute, you added something to your docket for tonight.
Yes, Fred Schneider of the B-52s. And I'll be completely honest, I did not know who the hell Fred Schneider or the B-52s were until this came across my my desk. Greg 2600 sent it my way. And I did what I always do when someone musical is added somewhere. And I typed them into Apple Music, and I clicked some of the songs, and I knew a handful of them. So I'm like, oh, okay. That's who they were. Who the hell ever knew who made that song or that song? So I got my vinyls. In tow is a $25 donation to autism awareness or some sort of an autism charity. And you could donate more, but you can't donate less. And it sort of sounds like he'll sign whatever you bring. So I got a couple vinyls. We'll see. I'm excited for it, though. That's pretty cool. It's 25 minutes away. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're really way overthinking this, I think. How many items do you have so far?
I have 3, which a buddy of mine, I think, is going to be getting one of them done. I'll see what other people have. I may race in and buy a couple more. But I mean, I don't even necessarily know. I really only want the album with the songs I'm a fan of. I don't really need other ones. So you may see some of these hit the marketplace this week because I'm not. My goal would be if I sell one and it covers the donation and the other vinyls, that it would cover everything, and I'd be, I'd have my combo for free. That's really my goal.
Yes, I'm not attending that one. I thought about it, but I'm not. It's a solid 45-minute drive, and if I was able to get, where'd you get the vinyls from?
I didn't heed your advice. I went to the actual store yesterday that's holding the event, figuring if someone becomes before me and they buy up the ones I want, I'm screwed.
So do they have lots of stock?
Yeah. So
they did have lots of stock.
I mean, lots. They have probably 10 or 11 left. Only one of the Real Desirable album. They have some of the more obscure ones, but
yeah, I looked on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw someone relatively near me had a couple of the vinyls, but they were in terrible condition. I was like, ugh.
These are brand new, which Greg wasn't happy with the reissues. He likes the old dusty ones from.
Well, sure. The original pressings it's cool to have, but they're harder to find locally, and a lot of the record stores are out of business. And you try and buy them online, they take days to come. So I wish there was a little more lead time on that. If there was a little more lead time, where I could have gotten some nice vinyls, I would do it. But I'm not going to bother today.
That seems to be the store's MO. They did the same thing with Hank Azaria. The stuff drops 3 days beforehand. And by the way, when I was in that store yesterday buying the records, since they had Hank Azaria, I didn't even know this existed. I'm a little annoyed. They have Super 7 makes like the Simpsons like ultimate figures. There's an ultimate Super 7 Mo that is like absolutely sick. I mean,
Hank Azaria will be at Rhode Island, so
I know. I don't regret my phone, but I'm kind of thinking about that. Like, that's awesome. Oh, I'm thinking about it for Rhode Island. I really don't want to, but that's if I was ever going to start a Simpsons like project, I would like to start that I'd have all these ultimate figures. Like if Bart comes around again, or
yeah, perhaps.
Stay tuned.
So you're doing that tonight. Eternal Con is happening in a few weeks. It looks like that lineup is pretty locked in. There's a couple of like newer era Power Rangers people, and then a bunch of Sopranos people. But I did ask you the question off air. I said because the actor who played Artie Bucco and the actress who played Artie Bucco's wife, you have photos with them separately. If they offered a duel, would you go in and get the duel? Would that be a new bulb? Or would that be brightening the old bulbs?
I think brightening the old bulbs. The thing is, with con pricing today, you'd be looking probably at $100. It'd probably be $50 a piece, something along those lines. So, but then here's the deal. I don't think I got Artie or the wife in the Sopranos book. So if they had combos, if I was going to do the autographs, which I'm debating about, do I get everyone in this book for autographs? Possibly. Not a slam dunk, but it's a possibility. I know you need them in general, so you'll be, I guess, hoping for the group up.
Yeah, I would take a group up. It would make it easy for me, honestly. Depends on how long I have to wait. If I have to wait a long time, I wouldn't do it. We'll see. But anyway, that's Eternal Con. Long Island Tropic Con, still the worst named con ever. They canceled Roger Bumpus, but they added Billy West, which does nothing for either of us. So I will not be attending Comic Con.
That honestly, I mean, I still need. You don't need Rocco.
I'm not gonna go. I don't think. We'll see. I don't know. As of right now, it's a no because I don't. I'm not. The issue, I'm not buying items anymore. Like
that. You so committed last week. You said I'll be at Tropicon. I was a little surprised by that. Maybe you meant as in like me. That you meant I would be.
Yeah, I think it was collect. It was speaking royally. Because I'm not gonna buy stuff for Rocco, the voice of Rocco, to sign. And my policy. I don't get photo ops with voice actors as a rule.
I'll be there for Rocco. Bumpus is bad or good, depending on how you look at it. Because I had that Super 7 in my cart on Amazon. I was about to pull the trigger, and I'm glad I didn't. So, Billy West, I love, but I have my Doug Funko. I don't really think I need more. So I think I'm done.
I have so much Billy West stuff. Too much. So I'm done. And you still got David Wright. Did you decide whether you're buying the starting lineup figure or you're just going to do the print?
Just the print. At some point in my life, maybe I will, but I'm not going to start it on a $300 name. I'll do it on, Dwight Gooden or something, and see how it makes me feel if I like it enough to like do something with it.
And then, in spite of the kind of lame lineup, we are locked in for Steel City. And we discussed that earlier in the show, so there's no reason to relitigate all that. So once again, if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join and participate in the Marked Out Collectibles official marketplace on Facebook. So we do have a bunch of signings to promote here. You dropped the prints for Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada, right?
Yes. I also have to change the wording just for anyone that was unsure. If you want to mail in a figure, those the option for things larger than an 11x14 flat, that will also encompass the figures. But I will change the wording because that was not clear. I imagine I just sort of copied a listing from someone that didn't have figures. I didn't even have the word figure like in there. And we are not. I had to turn someone down because I hate dealing with belts, but we're not accepting belts. They're just such a pain to carry, to pack. It says, they're
easy to damage, and I don't want to damage someone's belt.
Yeah, like if I was going to take a belt, I would want to like price gouge the hell out of it. And listen, Marked Out Collectibles, I love making money, but I don't want to be the company that price gouges. So I mean, when it's a situation where to do something, I feel like price gouging, I'd rather just not do it. At least that's my philosophy.
Here's how I would think of it like this. If we were doing WrestleCon and just doing privates, I probably would say take the belt. But the fact that we also have
double, I still want double for that.
But the fact that we have all the guests is the point. We just we're not going to be able, I don't want to have this belt then behind our table. I just don't. I don't want to deal with it.
It's unnecessary liability for the modest profit we make per piece. It's just not worth that.
So the WrestleCon lineup is locked in. We got on Friday Emily J, Diamond Virago, Tiara James, and the Shooter Boys. The Shooter Boys still haven't been announced on the High Spots page. They're getting to it, right?
Yeah, hopefully it's coming.
And then Saturday is our ID lineup. We got the Swipe Right Boys in the morning from 10 to 12. That's Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. And we have WWE Evolve champion Jackson Drake and Super Sean Legacy in the afternoon.
Yep. We will still be working on getting the Evolve Championship there. No promises, but I did see Jackson had it for a show. He did an indie show. Although it's one of those companies that ID is pretty aligned with. So that might make it a little different. But he had it for one thing, so hopefully he can get it out for this. We will keep trying. And I mean, fingers crossed that we may have the WWE ID champion amongst our lineup as well. So we'll see what happens by August.
Yeah, it's still a little bit far away. Something else to note about all of that is our pre-order pricing for combos for the ID guys ends when this show drops. It ends Monday, June 30th. So if you want combos with the WWE ID guys, that's Swipe Right, Sean Legacy, or Jackson Drake, the pre-order pricing, $35 combos, those will sunset on the 30th, and the price goes to $40 a combo for those. That's how it has to be. So if you're intending to get a combo with those or any of those four guys, make sure that you do that by tonight.
Yeah, I will leave it up until midnight, which honestly might mean that I don't really pull it down until Tuesday morning. But when it's down, it's down. The early bird gets the savings, and after that, I mean, listen, we will take, if you want to come to us with pesos day of, if you want to pay us in whatever, we'll take any form of currency you got. But the pre-sale pricing is done. Don't hit us with a sob story that you were abducted by aliens and they deactivated your PayPal account, like whatever. Like you've had months now, and to give any pricing like that after this would be sort of a slap in the face to the people that trusted us with the pre-order early on. So take advantage of that pricing while you can.
We also have still some signing slots available. If you have items or you're interested in items from Zeta Steel, Marcus Mathers, Jackson Drake, Smiley Kelly Ray, or Emily J, we're accepting pre-orders through the end of July. That we'll be doing those private signings at PWJ Damaged Goods 2. Also, we do have a private signing with Mike Tyson in November. Items are available and these for mail-in or purchase as well. So this actually might be our longest show we've ever recorded.
I mean, I think we're barreling down now towards our second anniversary after all this time that we've been recording. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I wanted to run it full length and not cut it because this is our anniversary show. We've done this for a full year. It's 52 episodes weekly. It's crazy that's it's incredibly fast. No,
yeah, and I think I'm actually going to end up missing church now because of how long this recording takes. The mass starts in 8 minutes, so I don't think that's happening.
11:30.
So, yeah. So I kind of put this over church. So I'm not sure what that says about me, but here we are. Happy 1 year to Marked Out Radio.
So I don't think you can end it any better than that. So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
I'm Dana.
And we will see you next week as we begin year 2 of Marked Out Radio.